Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Shujaa right here on WTV Kenya. I'm your host Linda Kroeger. Now remember, this is where we celebrate our individual community heroes, people who are going above and beyond to improve their life situations and inspire others to just get up and make a change for a better tomorrow and a better Kenya. Today I'm joined by Caleb Ndaka, project leader at Kids Comp Camp.
Yes.
I'm a computer Mashinani.
Yes.
Welcome to Shujaa.
Thank you so much for having me here
Karibu
today.
Sana.
Yes.
The phrase in Kids Comp Camp.
Yes. It came because the whole idea is to run Kids Computer Camp.
Uh-huh.
So we just slashed the computer bit and it became Kids Comp Camp. But the hashtag online is Computer Mashinani, so feel free to use any.
Amazing. Now let's talk a bit more about your organization.
Yes.
One, what is it? Is it an initiative, a non-for-profit? And why specifically focusing on computer programs for children?
Computer Mashinani is a not-for-profit initiative. And why we focus on computers in rural and marginalized areas. One is because of the clear gap. How we began this as campus students. We used to have what we call weekend getaway, dubbed plot. On our way back, we started asking ourselves, yes, you guys, we're having so much fun, but what tangible impact can we look back and say, I remember that one particular weekend. We went out and this is one life that I tangibly touched. I was in the computing school, and most of my friends were doing either computing or engineering courses. So we're like, all of us, we have laptops.
Yeah.
We have a bit of pocket money. Yet there's a whole world outside there who will never use these devices unless we step in. So the initial thought was, let's do a road trip to a school in Mashinani. Let's teach these kids over a weekend on basics of computers, and let's see what it turns out to be.
Wow.
The first Kids Computer Camp happened in April of 2014 in a school called Masii Township Primary School, which is in Machakos County.
Yes. Amazing. Such an interesting way to come up with a social initiative and just start sparking change immediately. Maybe you can share with us, how exactly then did it grow to just doing good and giving back to something tangible that you can see running in the long term and impacting very many children in the country?
Sure. As I've mentioned, it was a very random idea.
Yes.
But then when we got to the school, we had a class of 60. But then out of the 60, only 4 had seen a computer before.
Literally seen. I'm not talking about using. Yes.
I'm talking about seen. Because we gave them an illustration of differentiate between a computer and a TV. And like everyone, overwhelming majority, couldn't do that. So that was a very glaring fact for us. We take these things for granted.
Yes,
yet only is it 70 kilometers from CBD? There's this glaring gaps. And with that, the gap was so clear. And when we came back to campus, we were like, we're not stopping here. We want to reach out to more. And apparently, the first school that we reached out to is not really what you may call like Mashinani. It's suburban.
Just there.
Yeah. So after the first year of doing this, because we went back to the very same school 3 times in 2014. In 2015, we were like, let's challenge ourselves. Let's look for a typically Mashinani area. And we got a school in Tana River County. And one school hosted 6 other schools. And that was like fun. And of course, just seeing more and more depth in terms of the gaps. For example, in Tana River in March, we did a baseline survey of 6 schools. We interviewed like 30 kids between ages of 8 to 14. And again, only 3 had seen a computer before. At the same time, we were wondering, as in Nairobi, there are so many young people who, especially in campuses, what they do over a weekend is just to watch 50 bob movies. So how can we make this idle human resource make a difference where it is most needed? And that's how we've been able to grow. Of course, involving the communities, we realize it's very important so that they don't see us as donor funded or we are being sent by people.
Outsiders coming in.
Yeah, outsiders coming in. So we've been able to involve tangibly the local communities And 2 years and 3 months, we're talking about 5,000 kids in 10 counties.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And what's the situation on the ground in terms of us needing to move to the next level in embracing ICT and information and technology? And we've seen the government make strides.
Yes.
How important is it? Maybe you can give us a better understanding of that.
I mean, one, from our data, we've done 5,000 kids. And we can confidently say that 90% when we met them, this was their first time to use a computer. So the need is there. The need is so big. We are so excited about the government through DigiSchools. The fact that it's giving out devices and it's training out teachers. Because one, lack of infrastructure is the biggest challenge to bridging the digital gap between the rural and urban. But the fact that we will have locally available devices, that's a big mileage. Two, the fact that we're going to have like locally available human capital, and we're talking about teachers, that's again is a big mileage. But again, remember, we're not competing against Kenya. We are competing against the world. You know, technology is this like one flat areas where all of us we are fitting. Last year, an organization called code.org did some survey, and they say that in 20 years to come, we'll have 1 million more jobs around computer science than qualified students.
Wow.
Right? And it's so clear. I mean, out of the top 10, 14 companies, we're talking about 7 plus who are tech-based.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a lot of opportunities around technology, and we need to develop to match up to that opportunity. That also we address the whole thing of 40% unemployment rates in our country. So our motivation right now is to ask ourselves, how can we tap into these able minds as when they are pretty young? How can we expose them to tech so that tech is not a foreign concept? How can they start interacting, developing interest levels, developing the basics, being excited even as they go up to high school and later to college?
And I mean, I'm going to throw that question right back at you. How do we get our kids excited? How do we get parents to see how important it is that because of the progressiveness of the world right now, not just Kenya, that we need a generation that is tech savvy? Yes.
One, interest. Interest, it's where we need to begin. Because when people are not interested about something, they won't go to the extra mile. They won't see the value of investing their time and their resources. So, like, we need more evangelism, tech evangelism. Come and see the goodness of technology. Like, especially when it comes to the Mashinani frontier where we are. Last year we did this project called We Speak Code KE, and we partnered with Microsoft, and the whole essence of this was to show kids 8 to 14 years of age that they can actually write a line of code. They can create an object, they can make that object move, make a sound, and that's how we create essentially interest. Then of course after that, now of course we need to bring in the building blocks of how to ensure the teacher is also well equipped,
and
qualified and also interested. We started to think of how we can incorporate young people in local communities, right? Instead of just staying idle in their villages, how can we give them a skill level which they can also help us to reach out to their very own? Yes.
And what's some of the feedback you've gotten from some of the schools that you've been able to take up and begin teaching them just the basics?
I mean, the feedback is overwhelming. When we say we in 2 years we've trained 5,000, people say like, wow, that's a lot. But then we feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's always very sad that we only do 100 kids per camp, and we need to lock out the rest simply because we do not have the capacity. Much more can be done, and the kids are just amazing. They're just amazing. After they get the first concepts, there's a lot of, and tech is like that. They teach themselves peer learning, and it's very, 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 very exciting.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I can quote Mike Zuckerberg when he said, "In this world, talent is equally distributed, but opportunities are not."
I agree.
So the question for me and you is, how can we create more opportunities to these kids so that they can be they can achieve their God-given abilities, regardless of where they are. Yes.
Amazing. And you guys can continue that. And as we wind up this first segment,
Yes.
maybe you can tell us, you've picked up a school,
Yes.
or a couple of schools in an area.
Yes.
You've done the camp.
Yes.
Are there any feedback, follow through, or
Yes.
just going back to see
Yes.
how well
Oh, definitely.
they've maintained their tech
Yes.
journey?
Yeah, so two things. One, we don't show up in a school.
Okay.
Hatutokelezeangi shule.
Eh.
We call out for nominations. For
Uh-huh.
example, you're from a school, if it's qualified to be Mashinani, you nominate a school. When you nominate a school, you
Yes.
become our contact person.
Oh,
And your
okay.
responsibility is to set up a local organizing committee.
So anybody, even the
Anyone.
viewers watching at
Yes,
home,
yes.
can nominate a school.
Yes, kindly follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook, and we will share the nomination link.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah.
So after we've set up the local organizing committee, now we start thinking of how do we run these camps sustainably. We don't do one each wonder. We don't do one camp and run away. We do as many camps as we can do for this one particular school.
Okay.
The schools that we started with in Machakos and Tana River, we've done more than three camps.
Wow.
Yeah, and we are hoping by the end of by September, every child in our program will have taken at least 20 hours of training. So that means they'll have done the initial camp and a follow-up camp.
Wow. Amazing, great. And we'll catch up on that similar discussion. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time where we take a break. Keep it Shujaa on WTV Kenya. Welcome back, viewers, to Shujaa. And for those of you who are just joining us, today I have with me Caleb Ndaka of Kids Comp Camp. I'm a computer Mashinani with us here. Now, in a world that is rapidly growing, especially in the tech area, Caleb and his colleagues have come up with a way to make sure our children are equipped for the future. Welcome back, Caleb.
Asante sana.
Let's get back to the discussion. And as I said, our continent, even more so, is rapidly catching up in terms of globalization. And how important or pertinent is it for us to catch up with the rest of the world?
It's very, very important. And simply because look at the history: agricultural revolution, there was industrial revolution, and all these revolutions, they have left us some steps behind. How I pray and hope that this digital revolution will not be the same. We will be able to truly live Africa is rising. So this is it's a great window of opportunity for us to tap in and to equip our upcoming generation, not just to consume technology, but to create and solve our very own pressing issues.
There's one area that I'm very keen on highlighting, and that is the role of the digital era in development. Now, we were at a meeting of different stakeholders, and one person said that we cannot expect somebody deep into Kana land to be open to the idea of basically learning how to use a computer and engaging with the World Wide Web. Is it important for us to have people in such areas get accustomed and in touch with the digital era?
Yes, and let me just use the word digital literacy. Words have meaning. We're talking about literacy, and the same way we teach and value the ability to read and write, it's the same way right now we need to value digital literacy. Its ability to read and write using a device, and that device is where information and knowledge is based. So when I cut off that Turukana guy, I'm simply telling him you're not part of this conversation, and that means you're locking them out of the tons of opportunities that we have. I think they need tech and more internet than we need here, because if we don't give them that, they become double marginalized. That's double pain.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so more attention need to be paid to those last mile population. And I mean, more than 70% of Africans begin their lives in rural areas. So if we were to change the economy, we need to focus on empowering the critical mass.
Oh yes. You're a social change initiative, and I think we need to understand, especially the viewers at home watching from Mashinani, and who are not accustomed to this change in times. How important is it for us to get in touch with our digital literacy, as you call it? And how would it benefit me, in my day-to-day? Mama mboga,
Yes.
I'm selling my cabbages and my tomatoes. How can I accept it and make it a part of my day-to-day life?
I mean, a very clear example will be M-Pesa.
Uh-huh.
And that's the power of technology. How M-Pesa can change the lives of each and every one of us, whether you're in Turkana or whether you're in Kibera. And that's what we are voting for. How would have more solutions, for example, to deal with famine, to deal with agriculture, to deal with so many other sectors which we are still struggling way after independence. So there are actual utilities, things that we can do, and things which can benefit us on a day-to-day basis. Yes.
Let's talk about the innovation world. We've seen a lot of hubs come up. We have
Yes.
iHub, NILAB. How close are we to sort of coming up with inventions of our own in technology?
In technology. So technology is not a one event. I believe it's a journey. And countries like America, they began a little bit earlier than us.
Yes.
So one, I'm really glad that we are talking and investing in towards innovation. It's a matter of time, and then perhaps we'll start ripping out. But definitely so clear that we need to disrupt the way we have lived.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will not be counted any different from our forefathers. So it's the call of duty for our lives, and I think we have a very talented young people, and all we need to do is to create conducive environment for them to thrive. Yes.
What are some of the tangible ways that we can inspire kids, and especially after interacting with them in the kids camp, to take it to the next level? Apart from being digitally literal, going to the next level, getting inspired to come up with creations. When can we have our own Kenyan Facebook or our Kenyan Twitter?
I think we should have better. We should have better innovations.
Yeah.
One, I think we need to equip our young learners with a very open mind to learn. And again, that comes by giving them an opportunity and supporting them, creating awareness and showing the value of that. Most of our learners, they struggle with self-esteem and confidence, And so actually, like part of our training, before we get them to computers and class, we play a lot of games with them. We tell them our surname, we tell them how our primary schools were, so that they see us as not as teachers per se, but as their older brothers. And that it's like we are breaking the ice for them to see this is not just for adults, or this is not just for people in town. It's something that all of us can do. So open mind and support. It's very fundamental. Yes.
Let's look at the other side of the coin.
Yes.
And we have a lot of the parents, especially in Mashinani, saying, you know what, I don't want my kid introduced to this. The digital era or the internet comes with a lot of negativities.
Yes.
How do you address such concerns when they're brought to you as a kids comp camp?
Like any other changes, there will always be those loopholes which come with any expansion of any program. But gladly to say, it's a journey that can be mitigated, and there are like tools and programs that can ensure your child, while being online, they are safe. And this is a call out to parents and guardians. We need to be concerned. And when concerned, we need to ask the right questions and choose the right tools to ensure that our kids are safe. Yes.
I'll talk from the point of view of a parent who is not computer literate.
Yes.
But my kid, with the whole .com era and being very progressive, is already tech savvy on the phone, tablets, computers. How would I, as a parent who's not familiar with that, be able to monitor them and make sure that they're on the right path?
In cases whereby the parents or the guardians, they feel inadequate, then I think the rightful thing for them to do is to reach out to perhaps a teacher or some of us, and we'll gladly be in a position to help. But what I found the biggest gap is just lack of awareness among guardians and parents. They just leave their devices and they go away. So I think that is failure on their part. But if anyone really needs help, I'm so sure just around themselves. If they reach out to, they can get something to work for them. Yes.
Amazing work you're doing, Caleb.
Yes.
And I want to address one other particular issue,
Yes.
an emerging topic globally,
Yes.
regionally, and in the country in terms of online security.
Yes.
And that's where we are having our children pulled into extremism
Yes.
and all that. What are some of the telltale signs, or how can I go online and track, my kids' history, etc., etc., to sort of prevent this negative aspect of digital literacy?
Yes. There is a need of creating more awareness and trainings, especially to the users, young people like us. How do you behave online? What is? Are they aware of things like digital footprints? The fact that any move you make online, it can always be traced. There's a call for responsibility.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we are a community, and the way we used to live even without this technology is the same way perhaps we're going to live. So awareness, training of responsibility, use of technology is paramount, and especially people of influence and people that we look up to them. It's really very demeaning to see that they are sometimes the guys who are going to begin cyber bullying or something.
All right, yeah,
Yes.
Viewers, if you're watching at home, you've got to be alert, especially with what our kids are checking up online. And as we wind up,
Yes.
maybe you can share with us two very interesting experiences.
Yes.
One would be what's next for Kids Camp.
Yes.
What can we expect to see, and how can we reach you,
Yes.
and how can we get to have a better understanding of your impact,
Yes.
and maybe you can share with us here on Shujaa
Yes.
one inspirational instance that just keeps you going
Yes.
and makes you know that you're on the right path.
What's next for Kids Camp? We've begun a challenge we are calling Vision 10K. And Vision 10K, we want to reach out to 10,000 more young learners in the next 365 days. Because the gap is always there. So perhaps that is the next thing. But also want to do this in a more sustainable manner. So we are thinking of bringing on board teachers and community young people, such that we will have what we call community-led kids computer camps. And that means teacher will be on board, young people from the community will be on board, and of course us, just being there as catalysts, just to help them, to empower them so that they can empower their own. So in a big nutshell, that's Kids Camp in the next
Vision 10K.
Vision 10K.
Lovely.
Yes. In August 2014, what happens is after every camp, we have like a ceremony whereby we come and award the most participating, the most creative young people, and just to motivate to learn better. And in August rather, when we were finishing our camp in Machakos, one of the girls was given a geometrical set, and to the surprise of everyone, she started weeping, crying, and I was like, oh, what is happening? What is happening here? Of course, she was taken aside, and one of girls in our team, she was able to connect with her and ask her a few questions. Later, we came to realize that she was really excited because she was just about to sit for her KCPE, and she didn't have a geometrical set to use for her exam or revising. She did exams. She was a top girl in the school. She was called to a national school, and the parents could not afford fees. So our contact school teacher reached out to us and told us, hey, do you remember that girl? This is the situation. How can we help? And I remember in our WhatsApp group as trainers, like, hey, you guys, what can we do about this? And we marshaled up a couple of our friends, and we were able to raise up school fees for our first time. But this is a big story of it. After the first term in school, a foundation came in and took her through the entire school.
Amazing.
And from that story, we have always been saying, Kids Camp is not just about computers; it's about transforming lives. And we are so glad to God for giving us opportunity to, in our small ways, within our very small means, to see lives being changed. This is a very favorite quote in our group, that giving is not about how much. Giving is who we are.
Wow, I love that. Amazing. You guys are doing great work, and truly continue in the same spirit.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
having
joining us, Caleb.
to share our small stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we wish you all the best.
Asante sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shujaa. Today I've had with me Caleb Ndaka, who is the project lead at Kids Comp Camp, Ama Computer Mashinani. It is important for us to keep moving with the change in times, and digital literacy is at the top of the list. So get your kids enrolled, and keep an eye on them for online security. Now, I've been your host, Linda Kroeger. This has been Shujaa, KPWTV, Kenya.